Part 1. The Perfect Illusion. Hey Reddit, I'm in a situation I never thought I'd find myself in, and I need to get this off my chest. My name is Ryan, and I've been married to my wife, Amanda, for 5 years. No kids, just the two of us and our cat, Whiskey. Our marriage seemed perfect, at least to me. I work long hours at a tech company, which means Amanda has a lot of time to herself. She's a freelance writer, so she's often at home or working in coffee shops around town. It all started about 6 months ago when Amanda mentioned she'd found this amazing Uber driver named Jake. She was always getting rides from him, saying he was reliable and that they had great conversations. I didn't think much of it at the time. It sounded harmless enough. She even joked about how Jake had become her unofficial chauffeur. Sometimes, when I'd come home late from work, she'd mention how Jake had driven her to a new cafe or a store she wanted to check out. I thought it was nice that she had someone reliable to help her get around, especially since she's always been nervous about driving in the city. I never questioned it, never suspected anything. Amanda was always so affectionate, always making time for us, planning date nights, and keeping our weekends busy. Looking back, there were signs I should have noticed. She started dressing up more, even for mundane errands. She bought new clothes and lingerie, claiming it was just for herself, to feel good. She'd leave the house with a glow, saying she was meeting friends or working on her latest article in some cozy cafe. I never doubted her, never thought to check. Jake's name came up more often in our conversations. Jake took me to this amazing Italian place today. You'd love it, babe, she'd say. Or, Jake thinks I should try writing a book, isn't that sweet? It was like he was this ever-present figure in her life, and I was foolish enough to think he was just her driver. One day, I came home earlier than usual, excited to surprise Amanda with her favorite takeout. The house was empty, and her phone was on the kitchen counter. I noticed she had a message from Jake. "Can't wait to see you tonight, winky face." My heart skipped a beat, but I brushed it off. Maybe it was innocent, I told myself. Maybe he was just a friend. That was the first time a tiny seed of doubt was planted in my mind. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband, so I pushed it away. But that seed was there, and it was only a matter of time before it started to grow. Part 2. The Discovery. Hey Reddit, back with another update. After that message from Jake, I tried to convince myself that everything was fine. Amanda was my wife, the woman I loved and trusted more than anyone. But that damn message kept nagging at me. I felt guilty for doubting her, but my gut was telling me something wasn't right. A couple of weeks went by, and I started to notice Amanda's behavior more closely. She was on her phone a lot, always smiling at her screen, texting furiously. When I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd just say it was her friends or work stuff. I tried to believe her, I really did. But the doubt was there, whispering in my ear. One night, she was getting ready to go out, claiming she was meeting her girlfriends for drinks. She looked stunning, wearing a new dress I hadn't seen before, her makeup flawless. I couldn't help but ask, "Which friends are you meeting?" She paused, just for a second, then smiled. "Oh, you don't know them, honey. It's just some girls I met through work." She kissed me on the cheek and left, and I stood there, feeling like an idiot. Something wasn't adding up. I had never met these so-called friends. Amanda was always vague about her plans, and it seemed like she was going out more and more often. That night, I decided to follow her. I know, it sounds crazy, but I needed to know what was really going on. I waited about 10 minutes after she left, then grabbed my keys and headed out. I drove around, trying to figure out where she might have gone. My mind was racing with all the possibilities. Maybe she really was meeting friends. Maybe this was all in my head. But I had to know. I just had to. After driving around aimlessly, I finally spotted Amanda. She was standing on the corner, looking around as if she was waiting for someone. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched her. Then, I saw him. A silver Toyota pulled up, and Jake stepped out. He was tall, with a confident swagger that made my blood boil. Amanda smiled and hugged him, and they talked for a few moments before she got into the back seat. I followed them, keeping a safe distance. They drove to a nearby park, the kind with dark, secluded spots. I parked a few spaces away, trying to keep out of sight. I watched as they sat in the car, talking, laughing. My hands were shaking, my mind reeling. Then, something happened that made my blood run cold. They started kissing. I watched as Amanda leaned over, her hands running through Jake's hair, their lips locked in a passionate embrace. It wasn't just a peck or a friendly kiss. This was something deeper, something intimate. I felt sick. I wanted to confront them, to yank Amanda out of that car and demand answers. But I couldn't move. I was frozen, watching my wife with another man, realizing everything I thought I knew about my marriage was a lie. I drove home in a daze, my mind blank. I didn't know what to do, how to feel. All I knew was that everything had changed. Amanda came home later that night, smiling, humming to herself. She kissed me on the cheek like everything was normal, like she hadn't just been with another man. I played along, pretending I didn't know. But inside, I was falling apart. Part 3, The Lies and the Breakdown. Hey Reddit, things have gotten even crazier, and I'm not sure how to handle it. After catching Amanda kissing Jake, I couldn't stop replaying the scene in my head. I felt like a stranger in my own home, watching my wife, wondering how many lies she'd told me. The next few days were hell. Amanda acted like nothing was wrong, like she wasn't cheating on me right under my nose. She was the same bubbly, affectionate wife, talking about her day and asking about mine. But now, every word she said felt like a lie. I decided to confront her. I needed to hear it from her, even if I already knew the truth. One evening, when she was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, I sat down beside her. "Amanda," I started, my voice shaky, "I need to ask you something." She looked up, surprised. "Sure, babe, what's up?" I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "Are you seeing someone else? Are you cheating on me?" The words hung in the air, heavy and accusing. Amanda's eyes widened, and for a split second, I saw a flash of panic. But then she laughed, a forced, nervous laugh. "What? No, of course not. Why would you even ask that?" I stared at her, searching her eyes for any sign of the truth. "I saw you, Amanda. I saw you with Jake, kissing in his car. I know something's going on." Her face fell, and she looked away, biting her lip. Then she started crying, big, dramatic sobs. "Ryan, it's not what you think," she wailed. "Jake and I are just friends. We got carried away, I was upset, and he was there. It didn't mean anything, I swear." I wanted to believe her. I wanted so badly for her to be telling the truth. But I knew better. I'd seen the way she looked at him, the way they were together. That wasn't just a mistake. It was something more. "Amanda, I saw you. Don't lie to me. Just tell me the truth." She stopped crying, wiping her tears away angrily. "Fine," she snapped. "You want the truth? Yes, I've been seeing Jake. But it's your fault. You're never around, always working, always too tired to pay attention to me. I was lonely, Ryan. I needed someone, and Jake was there for me." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was blaming me. I was the one who worked hard to provide for us, to make sure we had a good life. And this was how she repaid me. "How long?" I asked, my voice cold. "How long has this been going on?" Amanda hesitated, then shrugged. "A few months. But it doesn't matter, okay? It's over. I'll end it, I swear. Just don't leave me, Ryan. Please." I felt sick. A few months. She'd been lying to me for months, sneaking around behind my back. And now, she was begging me to stay. I stood up, shaking my head. "I don't know, Amanda. I need some time to think." I walked out, ignoring her cries, needing to get away from her, from the house, from everything. I drove around aimlessly, trying to clear my head. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to believe that she'd end things with Jake and we could go back to how things were. But another part of me was furious, wanting to make her pay for what she'd done. How could she betray me like this? How could she throw away everything we had? I ended up at a bar, drinking more than I should. I didn't want to go home, didn't want to face Amanda. I was lost, torn between the love I still felt for her and the anger that was consuming me. Part 4. The Docker Turn. Hey Reddit, I'm back, and things have gone from bad to worse. After that confrontation with Amanda, I couldn't bring myself to go home. I spent hours at the bar, drowning my sorrows, trying to numb the pain. When I finally stumbled back to the house, it was late. The lights were off, and the place was eerily quiet. Amanda was in bed, pretending to be asleep. I knew she was awake, her back stiff, her breathing too steady. I didn't say a word, just crawled into bed, my mind spinning. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over. She blamed me for her affair, said I wasn't around enough. But I'd been working for us, to give her the life she wanted. How was this my fault? The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a sick feeling in my stomach. Amanda was already up, making breakfast like nothing had happened. The smell of eggs and bacon made me nauseous. I stumbled into the kitchen, and she looked up, giving me a nervous smile. "Good morning," she said softly. "How are you feeling?" I ignored her question, grabbing a cup of coffee. I couldn't even look at her. "I need to know," I said, my voice flat. "Are you still seeing Jake? Or did you end it?" Amanda sighed, setting down the spatula. "Ryan, I told you, I'll end it. I was wrong, okay? I know I messed up. I'll make it right. Just give me a chance." She sounded sincere, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was just telling me what I wanted to hear. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. I didn't believe her, but I didn't know what else to do. I had no proof, no way of knowing if she was really done with him. I needed to find out, to catch her in the act. Only then could I make a decision about our marriage. I started keeping a closer eye on Amanda, watching her every move. She was more careful now, more secretive. She'd leave the house at odd times, saying she was going to run errands or meet with clients. I knew she was lying, but I needed to catch her, to have solid evidence. One evening, a couple of days later, she left the house saying she was going grocery shopping. I decided to follow her. I waited a few minutes after she left, then grabbed my keys and drove after her. She didn't go to the grocery store. Instead, she headed toward the outskirts of town, to a quiet, deserted area. I kept my distance, making sure she didn't see me. My heart was pounding, my hands sweaty on the steering wheel. She pulled into a parking lot behind an old, abandoned warehouse. I parked a block away, watching as she got out of the car. She looked around, like she was making sure no one was watching, then walked toward a dark-colored sedan parked in the shadows. Jake stepped out, and they hugged, holding each other for a long time. I felt a surge of rage, my vision blurring. This was it. This was my proof. I grabbed my phone, snapping pictures of them together. They were kissing now, leaning against the car, oblivious to everything around them. I got out of my car, my anger boiling over. I was going to confront them, make them face what they'd done. But as I approached, something unexpected happened. Jake opened the back door of his car, and Amanda climbed inside. My heart stopped as I realized what was about to happen. I couldn't believe it. They weren't just having a secret affair, they were bold enough to do it right there, in public, where anyone could see them. I crept closer, staying in the shadows. I needed to see, to know for sure. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone, recording the whole thing. They were in the back seat, clothes coming off, hands all over each other. It was like a punch to the gut, seeing my wife with another man, watching them do things she'd promised were only for me. I couldn't watch anymore. I turned away, my mind reeling. This was it. There was no going back. Amanda had crossed a line, and there was no way I could forgive her now. I stumbled back to my car, feeling like I was going to be sick. My marriage was over, and all I felt was a deep, overwhelming rage. Part 5. The Storm Hits. Hey Reddit, I'm back with another update. If you thought things couldn't get any worse, well, buckle up. After catching Amanda and Jake in the back seat of his car, I knew I had to act. I couldn't sit around, pretending everything was fine while they continued to make a fool of me. I needed to confront them, to end this once and for all. The next morning, Amanda was in the kitchen, acting like nothing was wrong. She was humming to herself, flipping through a magazine, sipping her coffee. I couldn't stand the sight of her, pretending to be the perfect wife. I felt a surge of anger, and before I knew it, I was standing in front of her, my hands trembling with rage. "Amanda," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I know. I saw you with Jake last night. In his car." Her face went pale, the magazine slipping from her fingers. She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. "Ryan, don't you dare lie to me!" I shouted, my voice echoing through the kitchen. "I saw everything. You were having sex with him, right there in his car. You said it was over, but it wasn't, was it? How long were you planning on making me look like an idiot?" Amanda's face twisted with anger, and she stood up, her hands on her hips. "So what if I was?" she snapped, her voice sharp. "You're never around, Ryan. You're always at work, always too busy for me. I needed someone who could be there for me, someone who made me feel special." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was blaming me again, making excuses for her behavior. "Are you serious right now?" I yelled. "You think screwing around with your Uber driver is the answer? Do you have any idea what you've done?" She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "Oh, please, Ryan. Don't act like you're some innocent victim here. You knew something was wrong, but you chose to ignore it. You let this happen. So don't come at me with your righteous anger." I stared at her, disbelief washing over me. How could she be so cold, so indifferent? "You're unbelievable," I said, shaking my head. "I don't even know who you are anymore." She laughed, a bitter, mocking sound. "Maybe you never knew me at all," she said, her eyes flashing with defiance. "Maybe if you had paid a little more attention, you would have seen this coming. But no, you were too busy with your job, with your perfect little life." I felt my blood boiling, my hands clenching into fists. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make her feel the pain she'd caused me. But instead, I turned away, my chest heaving with anger. "This is over, Amanda," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I'm done with you. I want a divorce." There was a moment of silence, and then she started laughing. "A divorce? You think you can just walk away? Fine, Ryan, you want a divorce, you got it. But don't think for a second you're getting out of this without a fight. I'll take everything you have. I'll make sure you regret ever crossing me." I turned to look at her, seeing the hatred in her eyes, the smug smile on her face. This wasn't the woman I married. This was a stranger, someone I didn't recognize. "You already took everything," I said quietly. "There's nothing left for you to take." I walked out of the kitchen, ignoring her screams, her threats. I needed to get out, to clear my head. I grabbed my keys and left the house, not caring where I went. I just needed to escape, to get away from the mess my life had become. As I drove, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Amanda. "You'll be sorry, Ryan. You'll see. This isn't over." I didn't respond. I didn't care. All I knew was that I needed to get as far away from her as possible. But as I drove, my mind racing, I realized that this was far from over. Amanda wasn't going to let me go easily. She was going to fight, to make my life hell. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for the battle ahead. Part 6. The Battle Lines Drawn. Hey Reddit, I'm back, and as expected, things have escalated. After I told Amanda I wanted a divorce, I thought she might come to her senses, maybe even show some remorse. But I was wrong. The moment I walked out of the house, it was like a switch flipped inside her. She wasn't the Amanda I once knew, she was someone else entirely, angry, vindictive, and ready for war. The first sign of trouble came a few days later. I had barely spoken to Amanda since our fight, only staying in the house long enough to grab my essentials before crashing at a friend's place. Then, one morning, I got a call from my boss. Apparently, Amanda had contacted my office, claiming she had important information about me. My heart sank as I listened to my boss explain that Amanda had accused me of embezzling company funds. She even provided evidence, photoshopped bank statements and fake emails that made it look like I was siphoning money into a secret account. Luckily, my boss knew me well enough to know it was all bullshit, but the fact that Amanda had gone to such lengths was terrifying. This was more than just a nasty breakup. Amanda was trying to destroy me. I needed to protect myself. That's when I decided to hire a lawyer. I wasn't going to sit back and let Amanda ruin my life. I needed to be smart, to think ahead. When I returned to the house to collect more of my things, Amanda was waiting for me. She was sitting in the living room, sipping wine, her eyes following me as I moved around, packing a bag. "Oh, so now you're just going to leave," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Running away, like a coward?" "I'm done with your games, Amanda," I said, not bothering to look at her. "I'm moving out. I've hired a lawyer, and you'll be hearing from him soon." She laughed, setting her glass down. "You think a lawyer is going to save you? You don't know what you're up against, Ryan. I've got all the cards, and I'm not afraid to play dirty." "Like accusing me of embezzlement?" I shot back, finally turning to face her. "How low are you willing to go?" "As low as it takes," she said, her smile fading. "You think you can humiliate me? Make me look like the bad guy? I'll make sure you lose everything. Your job, your friends, everything. I'll ruin you, Ryan." Her words sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't a bluff. Amanda was serious, and she was willing to do whatever it took to destroy me. "Why, Amanda? Why are you doing this?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. "You're the one who cheated. You're the one who broke our marriage. Why are you trying to make me the villain?" "Because I refuse to be the victim," she snapped, her eyes blazing. "I'm not going to let you play the martyr, Ryan. You were never there for me, never gave me what I needed. Jake did. He made me feel alive, wanted. And now you think you can just walk away and leave me with nothing." "I gave you everything," I said, my voice breaking. "I loved you, I worked my ass off for you. And this is how you repay me? By sleeping with some random guy and trying to ruin my life." She stood up, crossing the room to stand in front of me. "You want to know why, Ryan? Because I can. Because I've always been the one in control, and you never even realized it. You were too busy being the good husband, the provider, to see what was happening right in front of you. I'm not sorry for what I did. I don't regret it. And now, I'm going to take everything from you, just like you took everything from me." I stared at her, realizing for the first time just how far gone she was. This wasn't the woman I married. This was someone else entirely, someone willing to destroy both of our lives out of spite. I knew then that there was no reasoning with her, no chance of salvaging anything. This was a war, and I needed to be ready to fight. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. As I opened it, I turned back to look at Amanda one last time. "You want a war, Amanda? You've got it. But don't expect me to play fair. I've got nothing left to lose." She smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "Good. Because neither do I." Part 7. Uncovering Secrets. Hey Reddit, here I am again, and if you thought things couldn't get more intense, think again. The gloves are off, and this battle is heating up. After Amanda's threat to ruin me, I knew I couldn't just sit back and wait for her next move. I had to take control, find out everything she was hiding, and use it against her. I decided to dig into Amanda's life, starting with Jake. I needed to know more about him, how deep their relationship went, and what leverage I could use. I reached out to a friend of mine, a private investigator named Matt. He was the kind of guy who could find a needle in a haystack and make it look easy. I gave him all the information I had about Jake, his full name, his car details, everything. "Leave it to me," Matt said, scribbling down notes. "I'll dig up whatever I can on this guy. If he's got skeletons in his closet, I'll find them." While Matt worked his magic, I started looking through Amanda's things. I felt guilty at first, rummaging through her personal stuff, but the more I found, the more I realized I was doing the right thing. I found a second phone in her dresser drawer, one I'd never seen before. It was filled with text messages and photos between her and Jake, explicit photos, sickening messages about how much they loved sneaking around, how much she hated being married to me. My stomach churned as I read through them, each word like a dagger. But the texts also revealed something else. Money. Lots of it. Amanda had been sending Jake large sums of money over the past few months. Thousands of dollars transferred to his account. Why was she giving him money? Was he blackmailing her, or was there something more going on? I took screenshots of everything and sent them to my lawyer. This wasn't just an affair, there was something bigger at play, and I needed to be prepared for whatever came next. A few days later, Matt called me back, and his news was a bombshell. "Ryan, you're not going to believe this," Matt said. "Jake isn't just some random guy. He's a con artist, with a record. He's been arrested before for fraud and blackmail. It looks like he's been running scams with wealthy women for years, and Amanda was his latest target. My heart pounded as Matt explained. Jake had a history of seducing married women, getting close to them, and then using their secrets against them to extort money. Once he got what he wanted, he'd disappear, leaving them to pick up the pieces. It all made sense now, why Amanda was giving him money, why she was so desperate to keep things hidden. She was being played, and she didn't even realize it. "Thanks, Matt," I said, my mind racing. "This is exactly what I needed." "Be careful, Ryan," Matt warned. "Guys like Jake are dangerous. If he feels cornered, there's no telling what he'll do." I hung up, my hands shaking. This was my chance, my way out. I could use this information to take down Amanda and Jake, to expose them both for who they really were. But I needed to be smart, to plan my next move carefully. I couldn't just confront Amanda. She'd deny everything, twist the truth like she always did. I needed proof, solid evidence that would stand up in court. I decided to set a trap. I reached out to Jake, pretending to be clueless, desperate. I told him I knew about him and Amanda, that I wanted to meet, to talk. I played the part of the broken husband, willing to do anything to save my marriage. Jake took the bait, agreeing to meet me at a local bar. I could tell he thought he had the upper hand, that he was in control. But this time, I was one step ahead. I arrived at the bar, my heart pounding. Jake was already there, sitting in a corner booth, a smug look on his face. I walked over, sitting down across from him. "So," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "you've been seeing my wife?" He smirked, leaning back in his seat. "Yeah, and what of it? Amanda's a grown woman. She makes her own choices." "Cut the crap, Jake," I snapped. "I know who you are, what you've been doing. You're a con artist, and you're using my wife. But it's over. I've got proof of everything, your texts, the money. If you don't back off, I'm going to the cops." Jake's face paled for a moment, but then he smiled, a cold, calculating smile. "You think you can scare me, Ryan? I've been in this game a long time. You've got nothing." "We'll see about that," I said, standing up. "Stay away from Amanda, or I'll make sure you end up back in jail where you belong." I walked out of the bar, my heart racing. I had the upper hand now, but I knew this wasn't the end. Jake wouldn't go down without a fight, and Amanda was still a wild card. As I drove away, I realized that the real battle was just beginning. I had the truth on my side, but the lies, the secrets, they were far from over. Part 8. The Trap is Sprung. Hey Reddit, it's Ryan again. Things are moving fast now, and the tension is through the roof. After my confrontation with Jake at the bar, I knew I had to act quickly. Jake's cocky attitude had rattled me, but I wasn't backing down. I had evidence, and I was ready to use it. My plan was simple. I'd push Jake into a corner, make him desperate enough to slip up. If he thought he was losing control, maybe he'd make a mistake. The next day, I reached out to Amanda, playing the concerned husband. I told her we needed to talk, that I was willing to work things out. It was a long shot, but I needed to see where her head was at, to understand her motivations. She agreed to meet me at a coffee shop, her voice hesitant over the phone. I could tell she was suspicious, but she didn't know I had the upper hand. When I walked into the coffee shop, Amanda was already there, nervously stirring a cup of tea. She looked up, forcing a smile as I sat down. "Ryan," she said, her voice strained. "You said you wanted to talk?" I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. "Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about us, about what's happened. I want to understand, Amanda. Why Jake? Why did you do it?" Her eyes darted around the room, like she was looking for an escape. I don't know," she stammered. "I was lonely, I guess. You were always working, and Jake, he was there. He made me feel important." "Important?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Is that why you've been giving him money too? Thousands of dollars, Amanda. You think I wouldn't find out?" Her face went pale, and she set her cup down, spilling tea over the table. "How did you?" "I know everything," I cut in, leaning forward. "I know about the money, the texts, all of it. Jake's using you, Amanda. He's a con artist. He's got a record for fraud and blackmail. You're not the first woman he's done this to." Amanda's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. For the first time, she looked genuinely scared. "Ryan, I didn't know," she whispered. "He said he loved me. He said he needed help, that he was in trouble. And you believed him?" I shot back. "You risked everything, our marriage, for a guy you barely know?" Tears welled up in her eyes, and for a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I was stupid," she said, her voice breaking. "I thought he cared about me. I didn't know he was just using me." I leaned back, watching her crumble. This was it, my chance to turn things around. "If you want to fix this, Amanda, you need to help me. We can go to the police, show them what we have. Jake can't get away with this." She looked up, her eyes wide with fear. "The police?" "No, Ryan, we can't. What if he retaliates? What if he—" "He's already retaliating," I said, my voice hard. "He's trying to ruin me, Amanda. He's already made false accusations to my boss. This won't end until we stop him." She sat there, silent, tears streaming down her face. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, the realization that she was in over her head. "Okay," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "Okay, I'll help you. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." I nodded, a plan forming in my mind. "Good. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to call Jake, tell him you need to see him, that you're worried about me finding out. I'll be there, recording everything. We get him to admit what he's done, and then we take it to the cops. Are you with me?" She hesitated, then nodded, wiping her eyes. "I'm with you, Ryan. Let's end this." That evening, Amanda made the call. I watched her from across the room, her hands shaking as she dialed Jake's number. She put the phone on speaker, and we listened as it rang. "Hey, babe," Jake's voice came through, casual, confident. "What's up?" "Jake, I need to see you," Amanda said, her voice trembling. "Ryan's been asking questions. He knows something's up. I'm scared, Jake. What are we going to do?" There was a pause, and then Jake's voice, lower, more serious. "Calm down, Amanda. It's fine. Meet me at the usual spot. We'll talk, okay?" "Okay," she said, glancing at me. "I'll be there." She hung up, looking at me with a mix of fear and determination. "He's expecting me in an hour. What do we do now?" "We go," I said, grabbing my phone. "We get the evidence, and we end this nightmare." An hour later, we pulled up to the same abandoned warehouse where I'd first caught them. I hid in the shadows, phone in hand, while Amanda walked over to Jake's car. They started talking, and I edged closer, careful to stay hidden. "Ryan's losing it," Amanda said, her voice shaky. "He's talking about going to the police, Jake. What if he finds out about the money?" "Let him," Jake said, laughing. "He's got nothing. By the time he figures it out, we'll be long gone." My heart pounded as I recorded their conversation. This was it, the proof I needed. I stepped out of the shadows, my phone still recording. "Not so fast, Jake." Jake spun around, his face twisting in surprise and anger. "What the hell? You set me up." "Yeah, I did," I said, holding up my phone. "And now I've got everything I need to take you down." Jake lunged at me, but I was ready. I sidestepped, shoving him away. "It's over, Jake. You're done." Amanda backed away, fear in her eyes. "Ryan, be careful." But Jake wasn't backing down. He pulled something from his pocket, a knife. My heart skipped a beat as he waved it in front of me, his eyes wild. "You think you can just walk away? I'll kill you." Suddenly, Amanda screamed. She grabbed a rock from the ground and threw it at Jake, hitting him in the arm. He yelped, dropping the knife, and I lunged, knocking him to the ground. We struggled, fists flying, but I managed to get the upper hand, pinning him down. "Call the police," I shouted at Amanda, who was already dialing. "Tell them we've got a dangerous man here." Jake squirmed beneath me, cursing and shouting, but it was over. The police arrived within minutes, and they took Jake away, his hands cuffed behind his back. Amanda and I stood there, watching as the car pulled away, sirens blaring in the night. "It's over," she said, her voice shaking. I looked at her, a mix of relief and anger flooding me. "Not for us, Amanda. We still have a long way to go. But at least now we have a chance. Part 9. The Fallout. Hey Reddit, Ryan here. So, Jake's in custody, and Amanda and I managed to avoid getting seriously hurt, but I can't even begin to explain the chaos that's erupted since that night. Turns out, getting rid of a con artist doesn't solve everything, especially when your whole life is still in pieces. After Jake was arrested, Amanda and I were taken to the police station for questioning. I handed over my phone, which had the recording of Jake admitting everything. The police seemed genuinely impressed with the evidence I'd gathered. They told me that, thanks to the recording and Amanda's testimony, Jake was looking at a long list of charges: fraud, extortion, and assault, to name a few. I should have felt relieved, maybe even victorious, but instead, I felt exhausted. Amanda was a mess. She was crying, trying to apologize to me, to explain how she'd been manipulated. "I didn't know, Ryan. I swear, I didn't know he was a criminal," she kept saying, tears streaming down her face. I just nodded, not really listening. I knew she was scared, but I wasn't ready to forgive her. Maybe she had been a victim, but she'd also been a willing participant, lying to me, betraying me. The wounds were still too fresh. After hours at the station, we were finally allowed to leave. Amanda and I drove home in silence, the tension between us thicker than ever. When we got to the house, she turned to me, her eyes red and swollen. "Ryan, I'm so sorry for everything. I know I've hurt you, and I can't take it back, but can we at least try to work through this? I still love you." I stared at her, a hollow feeling in my chest. "I don't know if I can do that, Amanda. You lied to me, cheated on me, and nearly destroyed my life. How am I supposed to get past that?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Please, Ryan. I'll do anything. Counseling, whatever it takes. Just don't leave me." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "I need time to think. This isn't something I can just forgive and forget. We need to be honest with each other, Amanda. Completely honest. Can you do that?" She nodded, tears welling up again. "Yes, I promise. No more lies." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that we could fix this, that our marriage could survive. But deep down, I wasn't sure. Too much had happened, too many lies and betrayals. I needed time to figure out what I really wanted, what was best for me. The next few days were a blur. Amanda tried to keep her distance, giving me space, but every time I saw her, the pain came rushing back. I started sleeping in the guest room, avoiding her as much as possible. I focused on work, trying to regain some sense of normalcy, but it was hard. My mind kept drifting back to the mess that was my life, to the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Meanwhile, the news of Jake's arrest spread like wildfire. Apparently, he'd scammed dozens of people, not just Amanda. The police were digging into his past, uncovering a trail of lies and deceit that stretched back years. Every new revelation felt like a punch to the gut. Amanda had fallen for a professional liar, and in doing so, had dragged me into his web of deceit. One evening, about a week after Jake's arrest, I got a call from my lawyer. He had some news, and it wasn't good. "Ryan, I've been looking into the money transfers Amanda made to Jake," he said, his voice tense. "It looks like some of that money came from your joint accounts. There's a chance you could be held liable, especially if it's proven that she used marital assets." My stomach dropped. "What? You're saying I could be on the hook for this?" "It's possible," he replied. "We need to be prepared for anything. I'll start working on a strategy, but you need to know this could get messy." I thanked him and hung up, my mind reeling. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, this bombshell dropped. Not only was my marriage in shambles, but now my financial future was at risk too. I confronted Amanda that night, demanding answers. "Why the hell did you use our joint accounts?" I shouted, anger boiling over. "You had your own money. Why drag me into this?" "I didn't mean to," she cried, backing away. "I was desperate, Ryan. He kept asking for more, and I didn't know what to do. I thought I could pay it back before you noticed." "Pay it back?" I snapped. "With what? You've already drained your savings. We could lose everything because of you." "I'm sorry," she sobbed, collapsing onto the couch. "I didn't know what else to do. I was scared, Ryan. I didn't want to lose you." Her words stung, but I was too angry to care. You've already lost me, Amanda. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. We spent the rest of the night in silence, the weight of everything hanging over us like a storm cloud. I couldn't stay in this house, with the memories and the lies. I needed to get away, to clear my head. I packed a bag and left, not knowing where I was going, only that I needed to be far away from Amanda and the wreckage of our life together. I'm not sure what's next. I'm meeting with my lawyer again tomorrow to discuss my options. Part of me wants to fight, to take Amanda to court and make her pay for what she's done. But another part of me just wants to walk away, to leave all of this behind and start fresh. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I can't go back to the way things were. Part 10. Picking up the pieces. Hey Reddit, Ryan here again. I've been away for a few days, trying to make sense of everything that's happened. I needed some time to clear my head, to figure out what I wanted and how to move forward. It's been a rough road, and things are still messy, but I'm starting to find some clarity. After leaving Amanda, I stayed with a friend who let me crash at his place. The change of scenery helped, and I spent a lot of time thinking about my next steps. The reality of our situation finally began to sink in. I had to deal with the fallout, both emotionally and financially. Amanda's actions had put me in a tough spot, and I needed to figure out how to protect myself. When I met with my lawyer, we went over the details of the case. He assured me that while the financial situation was grim, there were ways to mitigate the damage. We discussed the possibility of filing for a divorce and making sure that Amanda would be held accountable for her actions. It wouldn't be easy, and it wouldn't be quick, but it was necessary. The next step was to formally separate our finances. I needed to ensure that I wasn't held responsible for Amanda's debts or the money she had transferred to Jake. I spent hours going through bank statements, talking to financial advisors, and making sure everything was in order. It was exhausting, but it was also empowering. I felt like I was finally taking control of my life. I decided to reach out to Amanda, not to reconcile but to discuss the practicalities of our separation. We agreed to meet at a neutral location, a park where we could talk without the pressure of being in the house. When I saw her, she looked worn out, a shadow of the woman I once knew. "Ryan," she said softly, her voice trembling, "I've been trying to get my life together, to fix things. I know I've messed up, but I want to make it right. I'm willing to cooperate with the divorce proceedings and make sure you're not held responsible for any of this." I nodded, trying to keep my emotions in check. "That's a start, Amanda. But it's not just about the money. It's about trust, and that's something we can't just fix overnight." "I understand," she said, tears welling up. "I'm so sorry for everything. I never meant for any of this to happen." Her apology felt hollow, but I appreciated that she was finally being honest. "I need to know that you're going to be straightforward with everything. No more secrets, no more lies. Can you do that?" "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "I promise. I'll do whatever it takes." We spent the next hour going over the details of the divorce. We agreed on how to handle the joint accounts, the shared assets, and the debts. It was a painful process, but it was necessary. We both knew that the sooner we got everything sorted out, the sooner we could start to rebuild our lives. As we parted ways, Amanda looked at me with a mixture of hope and sadness. "Ryan, I know this isn't going to fix things between us, but I hope we can find a way to move forward, even if it's just as friends." I gave her a small nod. "Maybe. For now, let's just focus on getting through this." Over the next few weeks, I focused on sorting out my finances and starting the divorce process. It wasn't easy, and there were many late nights spent dealing with paperwork and legal issues. But I was determined to come out of this stronger and more resilient. I also began seeing a therapist, something I should have done a long time ago. Talking through my feelings and processing the betrayal helped me gain some perspective. It was a long road to healing, but I was making progress. One day, while I was working on organizing my new apartment, I received a letter from Amanda's lawyer. It was a settlement offer. Amanda was willing to agree to the terms of the divorce, including taking responsibility for her debts and making a fair division of our shared assets. It wasn't perfect, but it was a step in the right direction. I signed the documents, feeling a sense of relief and finality. This was a chapter of my life coming to a close, and while it was painful, it was also an opportunity for a fresh start. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm learning to take things one day at a time. The road ahead is still uncertain, but I'm hopeful. I'm focusing on rebuilding my life, finding new goals, and eventually, maybe even finding a new sense of happiness. Part 11. Rebuilding and Moving On. Hey Reddit, Ryan here again. I'm back with an update on my journey to rebuild my life after everything that's happened. It's been a couple of months since I last posted, and while things are still a work in progress, I'm finally starting to feel like I'm moving forward. After finalizing the divorce and dealing with the financial mess Amanda left behind, I decided it was time for a change. I needed a fresh start, something to break away from the painful memories and give me a new perspective on life. I took a leap of faith and moved to a new city. It was daunting, but I knew it was the right move for me. The first few weeks in my new city were challenging. I had to adjust to a new job, a new apartment, and new routines. But it also felt liberating. I was surrounded by new faces, new opportunities, and a sense of anonymity that was refreshing. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. I started exploring the city, finding new places to eat, new spots to hang out, and new activities to try. I joined a local gym, started attending community events, and even took up a new hobby, photography. It was something I'd always been interested in but never had the time for. Capturing the beauty of my new surroundings helped me see the world through a different lens, and it was therapeutic. One of the most important things I did was to reconnect with old friends and family. I reached out to people I hadn't talked to in years, and their support and encouragement meant the world to me. It reminded me that I wasn't alone, that I had people who cared about me and wanted to see me happy. I also continued with therapy, which has been incredibly helpful. It's been a space where I could talk openly about my feelings, process my past experiences, and work on building a healthier mindset. My therapist has been instrumental in helping me navigate the complex emotions that come with rebuilding after betrayal and heartbreak. As time went on, I found myself feeling more at ease. The pain from the past began to fade, and I started to embrace the possibilities of the future. I began dating again, tentatively at first. I met someone through a mutual friend, and while it's still early, it's been refreshing to connect with someone new and see where things go. I've also been focusing on my career. The new city offered me exciting opportunities, and I've been working hard to make the most of them. It's been a positive distraction and a way to channel my energy into something productive. Of course, there are still moments when the past creeps in. I'll see a familiar place or hear a song that reminds me of Amanda, and it stings. But I've learned to acknowledge those feelings and let them pass. It's all part of the healing process, and I'm learning to be kind to myself. I'm sharing this update not just to let you know how things are going, but also to offer hope to anyone going through a similar situation. Rebuilding after betrayal and heartbreak is incredibly tough, but it is possible. It takes time, patience, and a lot of self-compassion, but you can come out stronger on the other side. Thank you all for your continued support and encouragement. Your messages and advice have been a lifeline for me during this journey. I'll keep you posted on my progress and any new developments. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time and looking forward to the future. Part 12. Unexpected Encounters. Hey Reddit, Ryan here again. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a few more months since my last update, and life has continued to throw curveballs my way. I've been settling into my new city and making strides in rebuilding my life, but there have been some unexpected twists that I wanted to share. One evening, I decided to take a break from the usual routine and attend a local art gallery opening. It seemed like a good way to meet new people and enjoy something different. As I wandered through the gallery, admiring the artwork, I bumped into someone familiar, someone I hadn't expected to see. Amanda. My heart skipped a beat when I saw her. She was standing in front of a painting, looking lost in thought. For a moment, neither of us spoke. It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie. Ryan, Amanda finally said, turning to face me. Her voice was tentative, and she looked both nervous and relieved. I didn't expect to see you here. Yeah, me neither, I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. What are you doing in this city? I needed a change too, she admitted, looking around the gallery. I've been trying to start over, just like you. We stood there for a moment, an awkward silence between us. I could see that Amanda had made an effort to improve herself. Her appearance was more put together, and there was a genuine sense of remorse in her eyes. I've been meaning to reach out, Amanda said eventually, to apologize properly. I know I've caused you a lot of pain, and I'm truly sorry for everything." I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of emotions. Seeing Amanda was a jolt to my system, but it also forced me to confront the lingering feelings I had been trying to move past. "I appreciate the apology," I said finally, "but I'm not sure what more there is to say. We've both moved on, haven't we?" "Yes," Amanda said, nodding. "I've been working on making amends and moving forward. I didn't want to leave things unresolved, though." We talked for a while, catching up on what had happened since our separation. Amanda shared that she had been in therapy as well, trying to work through her issues and take responsibility for her actions. It was clear she was trying to make positive changes, and I respected that. "I've been doing better," Amanda said. "I'm working on rebuilding my life too. It's not easy, but I'm learning from my mistakes." I nodded, appreciating her honesty. "That's good to hear. I'm doing well too. It's been a challenging journey, but I'm making progress." As we said our goodbyes, there was a sense of closure between us. We both recognized that we had moved on, but it was important to acknowledge our shared past and how it had shaped us. After the encounter with Amanda, I found myself reflecting on our past relationship more deeply. It was a reminder of how far I had come and how much I had grown. It also reinforced my commitment to continuing my own path of healing and self-improvement. A few weeks later, I got a call from an old friend who invited me to a reunion gathering. It was an opportunity to reconnect with people I hadn't seen in years, and I decided to go. It was a great experience, catching up with friends, sharing stories, and feeling like I was truly becoming part of a new chapter in my life. I'm also continuing to date, and things are going well with the person I mentioned earlier. We're taking things slowly, getting to know each other, and enjoying the newness of it all. It feels good to be open to new possibilities and to start building new connections. Life is still unpredictable, and there are days when I struggle with the past. But I'm learning to embrace the journey and focus on the positives. I'm excited about the future and the opportunities that lie ahead. Part 13. New Beginnings and Old Shadows. Hey Reddit, Ryan here. It's been a while since my last update, and I wanted to share some recent developments in my life. Things have been steadily improving, but as with any major change, there are always bumps in the road. Here's what's been happening lately. Since my last post, life has started to settle into a new rhythm. I've been enjoying my new city and the opportunities it offers. My job is going well, and I've been making good progress with my photography. It's been a fulfilling way to express myself and explore my creativity. One of the highlights of the past few months has been the growth of my relationship with my new partner. Her name is Sophie, and we've been dating for a few months now. We met through mutual friends, and there was an immediate connection. Sophie is kind, supportive, and shares many of my interests. It's been refreshing to be with someone who makes me feel valued and understood. We've been taking our time, getting to know each other, and enjoying the process of building something new together. However, while things have been moving forward in many areas, there have been a few unexpected challenges. The past has a way of resurfacing, and I've had to confront some old shadows that I thought were behind me. A few weeks ago, I received a letter from a law firm. It was regarding a potential lawsuit related to the financial fallout from Amanda's actions. Apparently, some of Jake's other victims were seeking restitution and had filed claims against him, which in turn affected anyone he had scammed. Since Amanda had used joint funds, I was now part of a class action lawsuit aimed at recovering some of the lost money. It was a jolt to my system. The idea of being dragged back into that mess, reliving the stress and heartache, was overwhelming. I reached out to my lawyer to discuss my options. He assured me that we'd handle it, but it was another reminder of how complicated and far-reaching the consequences of Amanda's actions had been. In addition to dealing with the legal issues, I found myself facing some personal struggles. The anniversary of my separation from Amanda was approaching, and it brought up a mix of emotions. I reflected on the pain and betrayal, but also on how far I'd come. It was a time for introspection, and while I was proud of my progress, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. Sophie was a great support during this time. She listened, offered comfort, and helped me navigate through the emotional turbulence. Our relationship deepened as we faced these challenges together, and it made me appreciate her even more. On a brighter note, I decided to take a trip to clear my head and gain some perspective. I spent a week in a small coastal town, exploring the beaches and enjoying the tranquility. It was a much-needed break, and it gave me the space to reflect on my journey and recharge. While there, I met a few locals who were kind and welcoming. I even had the opportunity to showcase some of my photography at a local gallery, which was a great experience. It was a reminder of the positive changes in my life and the new opportunities that were opening up for me. As I continue to navigate through the legal issues and personal challenges, I'm focusing on maintaining a positive outlook and staying grounded. It's important to acknowledge the difficulties but also to celebrate the progress and growth. Part 14. Turning Points and New Horizons. Hey Reddit, Ryan here. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a while since my last update, and I wanted to fill you in on the latest developments. Life has been full of surprises, both good and challenging, and I've been navigating through it all. Let's start with the legal situation. After months of back and forth, my lawyer and I managed to resolve the class action lawsuit. It wasn't without its difficulties, but we reached a settlement that allowed me to move forward without being financially burdened. The whole process was a painful reminder of the far-reaching consequences of Amanda's actions, but I'm relieved that it's finally behind me. The resolution of the legal issues allowed me to focus more on my personal life and the positive changes I've been making. Sophie and I have continued to grow closer. Our relationship has been a bright spot, providing stability and joy. We've been exploring new places together, trying out different activities, and learning more about each other. It feels like a genuine partnership, and I'm grateful for her presence in my life. Recently, I made a decision that's been on my mind for a while. I'm going back to school. I've always had a passion for writing and storytelling, and I decided to pursue a degree in creative writing. It's something I've wanted to do for years, but life's twists and turns had kept me from taking the leap. Now, with a more stable foundation and a renewed sense of purpose, I'm excited to embark on this new academic journey. Enrolling in school has been both exhilarating and daunting. It's a big commitment, and juggling it with my job and personal life will be challenging, but I'm eager to dive into it. I've already started a few classes and have been working on some writing projects. It feels fulfilling to be channeling my creativity and pursuing something I'm passionate about. On a personal note, I've also been reconnecting with old friends and family. It's been a healing experience to strengthen these relationships and create new memories. I've been attending gatherings, catching up with people, and making an effort to stay connected. It's a reminder of the support network I have and the importance of nurturing those connections. Despite the positive changes, there are still moments when the past creeps in. I occasionally think about Amanda and the impact she had on my life. I'm learning to accept these thoughts without letting them control me. I've come to realize that the past is a part of my story, but it doesn't define my future. I'm also looking forward to new opportunities and experiences. With school starting and my relationship with Sophie growing, there's a lot to be excited about. I'm embracing these new chapters and focusing on the possibilities they bring. Thank you all for your continued support and encouragement throughout this journey. Your messages and advice have been invaluable, and I'm grateful for the community I've found here. I'll keep you updated on how things are going with school and other developments in my life. Part 15. Embracing the Future. Hey Reddit, Ryan here. It's time for the final update in this long and winding journey. I wanted to wrap things up and share where I am now, as well as reflect on the incredible support I've received from this community. It's been a few months since my last update, and life has continued to evolve in meaningful ways. The creative writing program has been a transformative experience. Diving into writing has not only been fulfilling but has also provided a constructive outlet for my emotions and thoughts. I've been working on several short stories and even started drafting a novel. It's exhilarating to explore my creativity and connect with others who share my passion. Sophie and I are still going strong. Our relationship has deepened as we've faced challenges together and celebrated our successes. She's been an incredible source of support, and I've cherished the time we spend together. We've talked about our future and are both excited about the possibilities. It's a comforting feeling to have someone in my life who understands and respects my journey. I also wanted to share that I've started a part-time job at a local bookstore. It's a dream job that allows me to immerse myself in literature and connect with fellow book lovers. It's a small but significant step toward my goal of becoming a published author. The job has been a great addition to my life, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. Reconnecting with old friends and family has continued to be a source of strength and joy. I've made an effort to stay in touch and build new memories with them. It's been a healing experience, reinforcing the importance of the relationships in my life. Reflecting on the past, I realize how far I've come. The pain and betrayal from the situation with Amanda seem like a distant memory now. While the scars from that time are still there, they no longer control my life. I've learned to accept them as part of my journey, but they no longer define who I am or where I'm headed. I've come to appreciate the lessons learned from that difficult period. It's taught me resilience, self-compassion, and the importance of moving forward despite the setbacks. I'm grateful for the growth and strength that has emerged from the challenges. As I look ahead, I'm filled with hope and excitement. The future is open with endless possibilities, and I'm eager to embrace what comes next. Whether it's through my writing, my career, or my personal life, I'm committed to pursuing my passions and creating a fulfilling life.